For Sarah, a successful graphic designer living in Chicago, love was a concept reserved for badly written romantic comedies. Her dating life, like that of many modern Americans, was a relentless cycle of transactional apps, ghosting, emotional ambiguity, and fierce independence that often felt more isolating than empowering. She had internalized the hard truth. In the relentless pursuit of career, status, and self-optimization, true, unconditional love had simply become obsolete. She viewed relationships as temporary contracts, something to be maximized until the next best thing arrived. Sarah was the perfect product of a culture that prioritized the individual over the institution, and the hustle over the heart. She had built a fortress around her emotions, convinced that vulnerability was a weakness and commitment was an unrealistic burden. But then, she met Marco, a structural engineer from Pampanga, Philippines, working on a project in her city. Marco was everything Sarah's previous relationships were not. He was patient where her dates were transactional, deeply present where they were distracted, and centered on family where they were fixated on the self. This is the story of how one American woman's cynical worldview was completely dismantled by the profound, powerful, and deeply human values of a Filipino man. The contrast wasn't just in personality, it was in the entire cultural approach to love. In America, the relationship is often judged by how much personal freedom is allowed and how efficiently it meets individual needs. Marco, however, operated on a completely different set of principles, driven by the Filipino value of Malasakit the profound, compassionate on concern that means treating the needs of your loved ones as your own personal responsibility. For Marco, love wasn't a feeling, it was a duty of care. This was the first seismic shift in Sarah's perspective. Her previous partners had viewed sacrifices as losses. Marco viewed them as investments in a shared future. Marco's introduction of Malasakit into their daily lives was subtle but transformative. When Sarah was sick, he didn't just send a text asking if she was okay. He appeared with soup, medication, and the unwavering commitment to stay until she recovered, viewing her illness as a challenge for the team, not just her. He didn't treat dates as auditions, he treated time spent together as sacred. He remembered details about her day, not because he was trying to earn points, but because his Malasakit meant he genuinely invested in her well-being. This was a form of unconditional commitment that Sarah had only ever seen in movies, certainly not in modern dating. This commitment was also extended to his family, a concept that completely redefined the idea of a partnership. For Marco, a relationship wasn't just about two people. It was about integrating Sarah into his large, warm, supportive Filipino family unit. This introduced her to the concept of Bayanihan, the communal unity that extends to every facet of life, including love. His family instantly adopted her, offering unsolicited but genuine help, advice, and a massive safety net of support that her hyper-individualized American life had never offered. Now, if you believe in the power of true, compassionate love and you recognize the strength of the Filipino heart puso, show your support right now. Please subscribe to this channel to help us celebrate the immense emotional richness and global influence of this vital heritage. This sense of pakiki, sama getting along, and communal harmony within Marco's family taught Sarah that love wasn't a burden that two people had to bear alone. It was a collective resource. Every challenge was met not by distressed individuals, but by an entire supportive network. The traditional American dating model had taught Sarah to be suspicious of genuine interest, to keep score, and to always maintain an exit strategy. Marco's cultural framework demanded the opposite: trust, vulnerability, and permanence. He wasn't afraid of commitment, he embraced it as the natural, powerful outcome of true Malasakit. This was the foundation that allowed Sarah to finally lower her fortress. She learned that the vulnerability she had always feared was actually the required entry point to authentic love. His approach to their shared future was also deeply rooted in Filipino values. Marco planned not just for their next weekend, but for their life years ahead, always integrating the needs of his wider family. This concept of long-term vision and familial responsibility was a stark contrast to the short-sighted, immediate gratification culture she was used to. It taught her that security wasn't about having enough money in her personal bank account. It was about the strength of her communal bonds. Furthermore, the relationship introduced Sarah to the concept of Utang no Loob, the debt of gratitude or reciprocity. Marco showed her unwavering loyalty and care, and Sarah naturally felt an overwhelming desire to reciprocate that kindness not just in kind, but with absolute devotion. The love became a virtuous cycle of giving and receiving, built on mutual respect and shared commitment, rather than a competitive negotiation over who contributes more. American love had felt like a high-stakes, competitive audition. Filipino love felt like a sanctuary. The ultimate test of their bond came not in a grand, cinematic moment, but in a small, domestic crisis. When Sarah lost a major project and felt her career dissolving, her initial instinct was to withdraw and isolate herself. Her American conditioning told her to fix it alone. Marco's Malasakit and Bayanihan instincts took over. He didn't offer advice, he offered presence. He mobilized his family to cook for her, ensuring she was nourished while she processed the loss. He reminded her that her value was not tied to her job title, but to her place in their camp while they shared humanity. This selfless, communal response was the final piece of evidence Sarah needed. She realized that the love she thought didn't exist was simply defined differently in a culture that valued the collective heart over the individual ego. Sarah and Marco's story is not just a tale of two individuals. It is a powerful demonstration of cultural soft power. The Filipino approach to life, centered on loyalty, family, care, and clarity, is proving to be the successful antidote to the loneliness and transactional nature of modern American relationships. Sarah realized that the love she was seeking wasn't broken. It was simply located outside the individualistic framework she had been taught. She found that the genuine, enduring, and unconditional love she craved wasn't found through endless searching, but through the deep, warm, and communal spirit of the Filipino heart.